Ian Darke's had plenty to say. These are his Premier League flops of the season. Phil Foden and Rasmus Højlund in there, Raheem Sterling, Eddie Nketiah.
You can't have Heung-min Son in there.
Son's in there, James Maddison. Yeah, there's a few names on that list, it's fair to say, and Arrow Muric down there, Ipswich Town as well. But this is an article.
We didn't have enough space for him.
Maybe just get some space. Jules and Frank's still with us. Frank, anything to say about Ian Darke's flops of the season?
I'm very concerned about Son Heungmin. I mean, the player that I rank very highly, and what he showed when he was playing for this national team, but also for Spurs the season before, showed me that he's a top-notch, world-class player, and he completely disappeared. He didn't exist this season. He wasn't the skipper that the Spurs needed. He had the armband, but it was quite invisible, and I'm concerned for he's 32, okay, but I think he still have lots of years to play and show better leadership and even for himself be a better football player and as he was before. He completely disappeared this season. I don't know why. I don't know, is it because of Postecoglou's tactic or whatever it can be, or his teammates, or maybe himself. But I'm very surprised that his level dropped so much comparing to the other seasons.
Shaka?
I agree. First of all, you can't have Son in any flop list. I don't care. Son has just done too much. I just like that player too much to have him in any kind of list.
Is this how you put it together, your rankings? You just can't do it?
Kind of.
Just can't do it.
That might be the peek into the secret sauce. Aside from which, Heung-min Son has got the same number of league goals as Dominic Solanke, an out-and-out striker, who was bought for 60 million. So if that's the bar, then again, you can make the argument that Solanke should be instead of Son. But for me, I think one omission similarly, Federico Chiesa. And while he arrived at Liverpool injured, I don't see how the season he has had, all right, Liverpool will win the title, but I don't see how the season he has had warrants him not being on this list. He should be in it.
Jules, your take, your turn.
Yeah, I agree on Chiesa. I would probably add Robert Sanchez there, Christopher Nkunku, who, as much as Frank and I love him, hasn't worked out for him at all this season. It maybe not just his fault, but it's true that when you buy him for 60 million and then you see the return that he's had this season, it's not good enough. And for Darwin, it's probably very similar. That this is not new as well to see Darwin in this kind of poor form, but still, this is low for him after being bought for so much money by Liverpool. So, yeah, I agree with the boys on Son. I think this would be harsh maybe on Son, but you could easily pick one of my three there to add to the list.
Well, speaking from the perspective of somebody who flopped for a living, I can tell you that in order to flop, you have to start at a high level in order to have that fall, in order to have that flop. And it doesn't get any higher in this list than Phil Foden. He was a player of the season, player of the year. It was the highest standard in the Premier League last season. Highest standard, not only Premier League, across Europe and across the world. That's how good of a season he had and how good of a player we thought we were dealing with, and we still think we're dealing with. His fall this season and his flop has been as surprising as Manchester City's flop this season. And maybe they go together. Yeah. Maybe they go hand in hand. But if you take in a vacuum the fall from grace of Phil Foden, I could never have seen that happen, just as I could have never have seen Manchester City flopping in the manner in which they have. And Phil Foden is the best or worst example, however you want to look at it, of that very concept of flopping. So much expectation coming into this year. So much belief in the player, in that he's only going to get better. He's only maturing and evolving and growing, and his game is finding nuances, and he's becoming a whole lot smarter with the usage of space and how he's able to use his body to spin away from defenders. All these things that we saw last season they have all disappeared. And it goes back to one very specific and basic principle: confidence. There is none. Zero confidence. And it has disappeared to where now trapping a ball is a problem for Phil Foden. That's a flop.
Yeah.